Generally, these last years, I've been talking mostly about the most important thing, which is about understanding the mind and realizing the nature of mind. This is where Buddhist teaching in general, and particularly the Tibetan teachings, have an extraordinary wealth of experience, knowledge, you can call it expertise, experience, wisdom, especially in the teachings of Mahamudra and the Dzogpa Chenpo, the teaching of great perfection. So that's why I always teach on the mind more recently and really try to show the essential nature of mind, of who we really are, our true nature. Because ultimately that's the most important thing. But since there are many new people here, I shall share a little bit about contentment and inner peace. And this is more primarily based on the message of His Holiness the Dalai Lama and many of the great masters. Maybe you might find this useful for you. So I share this. Regardless of who we are, the main purpose of a life, you could call it the heart of being human, is to be happy. All of us share the same wish, the same right to seek happiness and avoid suffering. But if you look closely, we can see there are two kinds of happiness. One is based more on physical comfort. You could call it the happiness or the pleasure of the senses, whereas the other is founded on the deeper mental contentment. I mean, the first one is very expensive and often doesn't really satisfy you, whereas that if you have found the deeper mental contentment, then you will find the peace and contentment that we all seek. In fact, I think some of you heard me teach before I shared this, so it may not be new, this particular part, which is that I always quote that I find it's very inspiring. The Socrates, the ancient Greek philosopher, once said that contentment is the natural wealth. Luxury is the artificial poverty. St. Paul tells us in the Bible, "For I have learned in whatever state I am, therein to be content." The Prophet Muhammad also said, "Riches come not from the abundance of the worldly goods, but from a contented mind." Buddha said, contentment is the most excellent of wealth. And as the Nagarjuna, the great Indian master who's only second to Buddha, he said, there is no treasure like contentment. Many people spend, this is His Holiness Dalai Lama, many people spend all their time and energy in trying to accumulate or maintain material or outer wealth. In fact, this leaves them very little opportunity to cultivate the inner wealth, qualities such as compassion and patience. In fact, this imbalance makes them particularly vulnerable and unable to cope with when they face the challenges and the crises of life. But if we have this deeper inner peace and contentment, this inner wealth, then even when we go through suffering, our mind can still be happy. This explains how there are some people who can have every material advantage and yet remain dissatisfied and discontent, while there are others who are always satisfied and content, even amidst the most difficult of circumstances. As the great saints of the past used to say, it is the foolish that go on looking for happiness outside of themselves. Because once you go looking for happiness outside yourself, then you have actually no longer any control. Whereas the wise and learned know that all the happiness and the cause of happiness is present in our mind and in our heart. In fact, you could say, this is from His Holiness, the principal characteristic of genuine happiness is inner peace and contentment. And when we talk about the understanding the mind and the nature of mind, is way to finding this inner contentment and inner peace. Anyway, if you have contentment and inner peace as your basis or as your ground, your mind will be relaxed and at ease. If the mind is relaxed and at ease, then no matter what difficulties or crises you encounter, you will not be disturbed. Your basic sense of well-being will not be undermined either. As a result, you'll be able to carry on your everyday life, your work, your responsibilities more efficiently, and your mind will have the wisdom to discern what to do or what not to do. I like the word discern rather than discriminate. So your mind will have the wisdom to discern what to do, what not to do. So in turn, your life will become happier, and when difficulties rise, you will even be able to turn them to your advantage. So, for your own inner peace and stability, taking care of your mind and heart is crucial. Once your own mind is more at peace, then both inner and outer harmony will automatically follow. That's the end of the talk. Thank you very much.